Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day to everyone. Today we're from Group 7 presenting to you our group assignment for MTM 2024 for Statistics. We are presenting or analyzing for the data from crude oil. Before we proceed to the presentation, I would like to introduce you our group members. The first presenter, which is me, I am Nursyabani binti Hamzah. The second presenter is Ng Tingzen. The third presenter is Nur Aini Akilah binti Azruddin. And last but not least, the last presenter will be Nurul Farah Anis binti Nawawi. Now, let's move on to the first question. We need to find the descriptive statistic for opening price data. We need to find mean, median, and mode. Then we need to find 5-number summary of the data, and the last one we need to find or do the box whisker plot. To answer this question, firstly, we need to arrange the data by ascending order to easier our calculation. So the mean, mode, and median for the opening price data that we get is 69.2525, the median is 69.155, and there's no mode in this data because there's no repeated data. Next, we're going to 5-number summary. The first is minimum, which is 67.15, maximums is 71.44, the first quartile is 68.47, the second quartile is 69.155, and the third quartile is 70.1. The last one is box whisker plot, which is first we need to determine the lower boundary and the upper boundary. The formula of lower boundary is quartile 1 minus 1.5, quartile 3 minus quartile 1, and the upper boundary is quartile 3 plus 1.5 times the difference of quartile 3 and quartile 1.
Now is question 2. We need to find 98% confidence interval for the closing price data and make a conclusion. By the way, a confidence interval is a range of values that is likely to contain a population mean with a certain level of confidence. From the data, the sample size is 20. First, we need find sample mean by formula, which is total of sample data divided by sample size. For our data, that is 1386.28 over 20 equal to 69.31. Next step, we need find t critical value. We need to determine alpha and degree of freedom, which is 0.02 and 19. Degree of freedom is calculated by sample size minus 1. From the table, we check from two-tail test, t critical value equal to 2.539. Step 3, we need to find standard deviation. We square root the variance and get the standard deviation from our data. The answer is 1.08. The last calculation step, we use sample mean, which is 69.31 plus minus critical value 2.539 times with standard deviation 1.08 divided by cert 20. Hence, the confidence interval equal to 68.70 to 69.92. As a conclusion, we are 98% confident that the mean is between 68.70 and 69.92.
Now, let's move on to question 3. In question 3, we need to find the 95% confidence interval for variance and standard deviation for the opening price of the data. Then we need to make a conclusion for the calculation. We have the data of confidence level, which is 95%. Then the variance is 1.11983. The standard deviation is 1.058. The number of sample is 20. And the critical values from the table is 0.025 from the right and 0.975 for the left. The formula for the confidence interval for a variance and a standard deviation is stated below. Then we make the calculation for the variance. For the variance, we have 20 minus 1 times by the variance divided by 32.852 for the left side And 20 minus 1 times 1.11983 divided by 8.907 for the right. Then we get the confidence interval for the variance is 0.648 to 2.389. We can make the conclusion that we are 95% confident that the variance is between 0.648 and 2.389. For the confidence interval for standard deviation, we just square root the confidence interval from the variance and we get 0.805 from the left and 1.546 from the right. So the conclusion, we can conclude that we are 95% confident that the standard deviation is between 0.805 and 1.546.
Question 4. Do the hypothesis testing to check whether the closing price has been changed at alpha 0.05. Okay. For the solution, first step, we make the hypothesis statement that H null mu equal to 68.94 and H alternative mu not equals 68.94. And the second step, we find the critical value at alpha 0.05. Then the test is a two-tail test. And then find the degree of freedom that n minus 1. So 20 minus 1, we get 19. So from the T table, we see that the degree of freedom is 19 and the alpha is 0.05 and two-tail test, so we get the critical value are 2.093 and negative 2.093. And the third step, we compute the test value. From the question, the sample size is less than 30, so we use a t-test. The formula t-test is t equal to x bar minus mu over standard deviation per set n. So the value of x bar equal to 69.31, standard deviation equal to 1.08, n equal to 20, mu equal to 68.94. So we substitute the value to the formula t, so we get the test value is 1.53. After that, for the step 4, we made the decision. So from the test value, we get 1.53, so that less than 2.93. So fail to reject H null because the test value is not in the critical region. And the last step, step 5, we conclude that there is not enough evidence to conclude the closing price has been changed.
Question 5 asks to determine whether there is significance between the opening and closing price at alpha 0.1. For this question, we use dependent sample t-test. The null hypothesis mu d equals to 0, which means there is no any difference between the opening and closing price. And for the alternative hypothesis, mu d not equal to 0 state that there is difference between the opening and closing price. Since alpha equal to 0.1, the test is two-tail test. So to find the critical value, we look at the t distribution table, which is the degree of freedom n minus 1. So the degree of freedom for this data is 19. Then we get the critical value at negative 1.729 and 1.729 since there are two tails. To find the test value, first we find the difference between opening and closing price, then we square the difference to find the standard deviation of difference. Finally, we find the test value using formula t equals to means of d of the difference minus mu d over standard error sd of the difference, and we get value at negative 0.302. So for the decision, we fail to reject H null because the test value is not initial region, and we conclude that there is no enough evidence to support that claim there is any difference between the opening and closing price.
That's all from us. Thank you for your time. Assalamualaikum.